All right. So it's been a couple of years, I think, since the last time I did this. Unfortunately, my dumbass forgot my camera, so there's no video, just a podcast. But I'm joined by the whole band of Invictra this time, not just Josh. I have Josh over here to my right. I've got Dylan and Alex finally able to make it. I don't know what the deal was last time. I think they were busy or whatever. But so they have released a new single, came out yesterday as of recording. I don't know when the hell I'm going to find the time to edit this, because fuck me, that's why. Without further ado, I think we're just going to get into some of the questions as far as a new EP coming out in June. We've got a new single. So I think real quick before we get into any of that, well, I'll mention to you two, because I didn't get to ask before, how did both of you become involved? Because I know that he started it, and then you both kind of came in a little later on. I think
we should go chronologically.
Yeah. I joined in December of 2015. I was a senior in high school, and it was over Christmas break, and I was sick in bed, and I got a call from an unknown number, and I was like, fuck it, I'll answer it. And it was Josh, and he was like, yo, I need a drummer. I've seen some of your videos on YouTube, and we're recording an EP in like a month. Like, are you down? And I was like,
less than that. It was like 10 days.
Yeah, it was something like that. And I was like, yeah, sure, fuck it, let's do it. And I've been doing this ever since.
There you go.
I had known Josh from school. We went to Leroy together, a couple of years behind me, and I'd always known that he played guitar, and I think he had always known that I played guitar. And really, just at one point I was looking to get a new Jackson, so I messaged him on Facebook or whatever, and was like asking him what kind of insight he could give as to what I should buy or this and that, because I knew he was knowledgeable about it.
Right.
And then from there, he said, we should jam sometime. And then we went like pretty much an entire summer of like, yeah, we'll do that this time or this time. And it just kind of kept getting pushed off and off. And then one time we just pulled the trigger on it, got together one time and played a few covers that we had organized. And then, kind of just left it at that for a little while. And about a month later, I got a message from him saying like, hey, like, he's like, I've been looking to get a 2-guitar attack going again, and if you want it, it's yours. And I was like, well, hell yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not the most glorious story, but I mean that's the way it went down.
A lot of phones.
A lot of
That's
phones.
the 2010s, man.
The first time we had rehearsal and he showed up, we played the song on the original EP called This World, and I didn't know that he had added like a solo in there.
Neither did I until I did it.
After the first chorus, and I was just sitting there like playing like normal, and he started, and I looked up and was like, what the fuck, man? And homie's been a G ever since.
And he's also done that ever since.
Yep.
Yeah.
You play a solo here? No, I don't know if you remember, Alex, but we had this obscure jam once.
Yeah, back in 2012 or 2011.
Really?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was in the height. The only reason I know that is because it was in like the height of my Iron Maiden days.
Yeah,
And
you did not have long hair.
I did not know, and I don't even know what guitar I was playing at that point. I think it was the old Jackson V, or it could have even been my original like Guitar Center brand setup guitar. Like the guitar comes with like the 15-watt amp and all that. But yeah, I remember that day, and I remember like thinking like, man, like I gotta practice.
It was weird. We like jammed, and then we just didn't talk for like 3 years.
Yeah, that's literally like how it went.
Jam once, never seen.
Like,
We must
man, this
not have
kid
liked
hates
each
me.
other. Yeah. We probably both thought the same thing.
We're like, man,
I blew you off in like 2013.
yes, he did.
He messaged me like, yo, you want to jam? And I was like, sure, before I'd been in any bands. And he sent me like Cowboys from Hell. He's like, let's jam these. Cowboys from Hell, some other song, and
I think it was Davidian and Heresy.
Yeah, Heresy and Davidian. And I listened to Davidian, and I was like, huh, fuck that. And I didn't answer him again. And I had posted this video on YouTube of like an old video of me making fart noises with a straw. And he commented on it. and called me a Metallifag because I really liked Metallica, and I was like, what the fuck? And then I didn't hear from him again until 2015.
I don't remember how I had your phone number, but I did.
He messaged me on Facebook.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I think that's when you said like you weren't in any bands beforehand. I think that's a big part of like being afraid to kind of jam with other people.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing, because like if you've never done it, like
Yeah.
you
I was
don't
like
know what it takes
13.
in that. Yeah, exactly.
All right, yeah. So as I mentioned, the new single "Chaos Theory," the title of the EP, actually. Take me through what the heck that was like writing that, putting it all together. Who kind of started it? Where it went from initial thoughts?
Yeah, well, the riff came from Alex.
Yeah.
Alex had shown it to Dylan. I remember they had a couple riffs because I had showed up and they were like, a couple days ago we did these riffs, and there was a few riffs, and then there was kind of like the intro riff, like a variation of it that he was playing, and I'm like, that's pretty neat. And then we just kind of worked on it that day, and I mean, these songs were quite a long process for reasons we can't control. But
Right, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, as opposed to writing of the world game, these
Like 8
songs,
weeks.
yeah, these songs like they just they I don't want to say like they sat around for much longer, but they did, and then as a result of that sitting around, they got tweaked 10 times more than any of the world game songs.
yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I remember just hearing just that first riff. I remember just as like, okay, because you mentioned Iron Maiden, I was like, immediately that's what clicked in my head was like
Yeah.
a very Maiden kind of sound going into it, and it was. I mean, yeah, I do the same thing with like my riffs too. Like they'll sit around, and then after like 6 months, I'll go back to it. I'm like, geez, that sounds like shit, and then I'll fuck with it, and then.
Well, yeah, because he came with the riff, and then I had harmonized it. We came up with a harmony for it, and that's definitely probably the most melodic, like harmony-driven song
Yeah.
on this EP. Is
Yeah,
that
sure.
one?
Yep.
And because I don't know, there's all kinds of harmonies and shit going on all over the place. You
Oh,
know, like
yeah,
in the
for
solo
sure.
section, and then
The
with that
solo
riff.
section, yeah, that one part where the both of you are doing that tap, and I'm like, holy fuck, who called Herman Lee in? Who the fuck? I immediately, I was like, even in my video, I was like, holy shit, this is Dragon Force on 10. Like, what the
Oh,
hell?
and that's another one that we had a different part written for,
Mm-hmm.
because you had come with another part. You kind of wrote like the basis of like that little section going into that. Like we redid like that section was separate. I don't know. There's all
It
this
changed
shit was
so
just kind of
much.
like pulled from all kinds of places. Yeah.
Yeah.
But-
The original idea I had at that point was just like a a power slave kind of Iron Maiden like dual. I mean, not like that tapping and
Right.
Insanity, but something like kind of similar to that.
Right, gotcha.
And
okay.
Josh comes in and he's like we can do something better, and that's always like
That's always the
it's always his attitude is like we
Yeah.
can do better than that.
Mhm.
And then that's where that Insanity there after the solos comes in.
Gotcha.
I think that was the look on all their faces. I was sitting there writing it, and I looked up, and everyone's like,
What
What
do
do
you
you-
think?
What
What the fuck?
"How are we supposed to do that?"
Yeah, I remember that that whole song I've been listening to basically on repeat just since then, just trying to process everything because there's so much going on for 6 minutes. It's like
Yeah.
trying to process it all after 2, 3, 4 listens is ridiculous. I mean, I was even playing it on repeat just coming here this morning. I was like still couldn't figure out what the fuck was going on.
That's what we want.
Even in the whole EP, it's a half hour long or so, and there's only 5 songs. There's so much content packed into that, you know.
Jeez, okay. Okay, yeah, so that was actually kind of my next question was how many songs were on the album. So 5 songs for a half an hour. That's a lot of fucking music for 5 songs.
Yeah.
That's a lot of music. I
Yeah.
mean, that's pushing. I mean, that's kind of pushing what Metallica kind of did with Hardwired. With 80 minutes for 12 songs. I mean, that's
Yeah, it's
Crazy.
crazy. But we tried not to be that crazy.
Right.
You know, we did a lot. Like we said, we did a lot of self editing and
for
just
sure.
like getting them down, and because like we had one we've been playing live for a while now, The Adversary, and that's one of the ones on it. And that song when we had originally wrote it was like 8.5 minutes.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
And we got it down to like 6.5. You know, we trimmed
I would
like
say,
2
yeah,
minutes
so you
off
cut a
that
couple
fucking
minutes
thing.
off.
The,
of
the
that.
first time we timed that song when we played it, like we finished the song and we all went around and like guessed how long. I was like, I don't know, like 5.5 minutes, 6.5 minutes, whatever. And it's like 8 minutes and 48 seconds. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that was the last time we ever played it at that length. We're like, that has got to change.
Yeah.
There's no way we were doing that in 30 years. No.
Yeah, we're like people are not gonna listen to this. Yeah, but we did that, you know, with all these songs. We just like really, as long as the songs ended up being, they were probably as concise as they could have been.
Oh, for sure.
To be honest,
Everything serves the song. Like everything that's in the song is necessary for it to be a concise, good song.
Right,
you know?
and that was kind of what I had said about Chaos, was that it had 6 minutes of length, which it felt, but it definitely had the right dynamics as far as going from the heavy verses to the clean chorus, and then that kind of break, that slow break right before the Dragon Force solo.
Mhm.
It really felt what it got across what it needed to, and nothing felt like it wasn't serving the song in any way. I as opposed to what the hell, Set Me Free by Avenged Sevenfold. The song was great, and then the outro they had the clean guitar and then put the really loud harmony solos over top of it. I'm like, you can't even hear the clean guitar now. What the
Right.
fuck? That doesn't serve the song the way it should have, and that was
Mhm.
that's what I didn't feel coming out of Chaos. Was it felt like everything served it somehow, and it was still very, very concise despite the length of it.
Well, thank you.
So 5 songs. We'll go through the names of them, and then which were the first and last ones that were written for, or I should say finalized for the EP.
Well, first song is Wretch of Deceit. That one was probably the last one we finished
Yeah.
all
Yep.
the way.
Yeah, I think at the moment it was like you said, like finalized. That
Mhm.
was
Yeah, that was
most
probably
recent.
the last one. And then track 2, The Adversary, was the first one we finished.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
started that. Like I have the earliest.
The riff tape was like
riff-
2 months after the World Games.
Yeah,
Okay.
June 2018 started.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
like
so
my
that was-
earliest.
yeah,
That's
okay.
the first time that riff came up.
Yeah, and then Psycho's Vindication, that one probably came next. That was probably the second closest one. we
Yeah.
had.
Well, yeah, because we played that at we played an unfinished version of that
At
at
Rick's
Rick's birthday bash.
Yeah, yeah.
In
which was
2018.
2018.
Yeah.
So that would have been the second song that finished that.
Yeah, and then we had 4, for lack of not finding a better name for it. We had that song, and that one, well, that one and Chaos Theory, they were probably close to the same time. Probably did Chaos Theory first, and then 4, and then
And then-
Wretch
Yeah.
probably finished up.
Gotcha.
But I think Wretch was started probably around the same time, or even before Chaos Theory.
Yeah,
But that took way longer to complete
Mhm.
or to tweak.
We had we did the Chaos Theory intro riff that one weekend where it was me and you jamming,
Hmm.
and we did like another song or part of another song that became Wretch of Deceit, and it was like if I don't know if you still have the riff tape from it, but it's like there's like a couple seconds where you can tell that it turned into
Yeah, there's
what it is now.
there's riffs that are exactly as they appear on the album
Mhm.
in that original
Mhm.
or on the EP in that original in that tape. I want to say that was like October, honestly, and
Yeah.
then PS3 was December. So I think it came before,
Yeah.
but a lot of what we did that day got tweaked so much. But I think that was like the original idea that it came.
Yeah, and I remember, and we talk about it still, one of the most fascinating, like, writing sessions was for Wretch, because it was almost like you can cut the riff in half, and one half of it is what Alex brought, and the other half is something that I came up with after I heard it.
Yeah, it's
And-
not like we're dividing riffs like this riff, that riff. It's like we're dividing the riff like 50% of the riff, and 50% of the riff is like each of us. I think
yeah, like
that's
half of it, like this element is me and that element was you. It was very, it was interesting.
like
And-
one note. If there's 10 notes in the riff, 5 of them are mine and 5 of them are yours.
Yeah, it was very interesting how that ended up coming about.
Okay, so the riffs were kind of almost combined or alterated from one another and
Yeah.
Mhm.
turned into something.
Yeah, and we had like a bunch of demo songs. Like I had the solo section for that song written out for something totally different.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we were jamming that song, and it's a very heavy tune, and the solo section is a lot different from the rest of it, but I was like, I don't know, for some reason I feel like that can fit there, and we threw it in, and I think it sounds awesome. You know, it sounded awesome that way, and we did that with a lot of stuff. Like, you know, we'd come with riffs, or like, you know, I had certain sections saved, like another section in 4 I had saved on my computer, or just like, you know, it was just sitting there, and then I'm like, oh yeah, how the fuck do I even play that? I don't even remember. I have to go back and relearn how to do that, you know? But yeah, they're just broken up from everywhere.
Gotcha. So, 5 songs of, you know, we'll say a decent length, you know, with a half an hour of music between them. Which one was the hardest to either finish and finally play through a full time, or just write in general? And what was the easier one of the 5? Because I can only imagine with that much music, there's probably some sort of frustration somewhere at some point.
I'd say Wretch was the hardest.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of there's parts of that song that only happen once in the song, and it was just a matter of, do we repeat it, or do we put it at the end, and it was just sorting things. And,
Right, just sorting parts.
yeah, and there was, you know, it took a while to write that, and it was just mulling things over and going back and forth, but we got it sorted.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that one was definitely the toughest one to get together. I mean, I would agree. It was that one. Like, it just, like, we had so many little, just like, you know, like transition riffs or whatever that, like, it was just like, no, and then finally we're like, okay, yeah, that's cool. Finally, that works.
Yeah, it's not as much like a puzzle that you have all the pieces you need in front of you, because a lot of those pieces you don't end up using. And so you had to kind of prioritize, you know, what riff is going to serve the song best at this point. And, you know, maybe it's a riff we haven't even written yet. And then, you know, 2 months later, somebody comes up with something, or like, actually, that would work really well here. And you put that in, and then another month later, you're like, what were we thinking? And you pull it out, and it's tough.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Yeah, my project has plenty of moments where we've done that. Like, I'll send things to them, and they'll be like, "The fuck are you doing? Get out of here! No, come up with something different."
That's why it's good to have the checks and balances,
Oh, for
because
sure.
you think what you're doing sounds so good, and then you bring it to someone else, and they're like, it wasn't that good.
Right. And that kind of, on a personal, that's why I've always hated being like the primary writer. Like, I didn't mind doing it, but it got to a point where I was just so frustrated because I couldn't get any like decent feedback, because everyone was like split up, going their own ways, doing this with school or work or whatever. I couldn't ever get anyone together to finalize something that sounded good and everyone enjoyed. It was just what I thought was good.
Yeah.
So finally having a project where I can, you know, send stuff to people and they'll actually get back to me in a reasonable time frame is something that I've finally fucking found.
Well, I think it's one reason that I'm happier with this than I am with the World Game, is because with the World Game, like, we had 9 full songs and I had written 5 of them.
Right.
And this time around, there really wasn't a song that I was like, oh yeah, I wrote this song. Like, it was like literally we brought it and all of us just dissected it, and like there's a little piece of everybody in this song.
Gotcha.
And it's a lot cooler to listen back to, I think, because like, you know, it's just more of a collective unit.
Yeah, it's
working.
like a team effort at that point.
Yeah. Not that the World Game songs were, you know, like lacking or not a team effort, but it's just, I'm more proud of the contribution that I could have to a song, because I feel like they're better than they were.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Because of you guys, you know, and me and, you know, everyone, all our 40 co-writers.
Ghostwriters.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, this sounds cool. Put it in there.
Yeah.
So be it that there's only 3 of you, who primarily did the bass tracking on the album? Because I know that, you know, you only have 2 guitars currently, and then I know that you had a bass player for a while, but he took off.
Well, we still have Steve playing live with us for now.
Right.
And we have another plan in motion, but I'm not going to speak about that except for that.
Right.
But I did play bass on it.
Okay.
A lot of the bass tracks I had reworked. They weren't really finalized anyways.
Right.
You know, back when we had our other bass player in the band. So I just kind of went through and was like, well, I can kind of do whatever the heck I want with the bass now.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, and I just try to serve the song
Mm-hmm.
because I mean a lot of it's pretty guitar driven as usual.
Yeah.
So I wasn't trying to do too much with the
we're
bass
trying to be
parts.
too crazy, yeah.
But I wanted them there, and I wanted them to be of quality.
Right, and like especially with Chaos, I could hear it very, very clearly with the mix, which actually kind of leads me into the next one. Joseph Chudik, you guys worked with him on the World Game, brought him back for this one. The chemistry that the band has with Joe is, especially with the World Game and now going into this, I mean, it sounds like just another step up from what it was the last time. What brought you guys to bring him back on for the project?
Oh, you just love working with him.
And he's not primarily like a metal guy.
Right.
Okay. But
I don't think you would know from what you hear on that. It sounds like he's
Right.
been doing metal for
Right, it
for
really
his
does.
life.
And
It
For the
sounds,
last decade.
he's
sounds
just
fantastic.
he's just down to try shit. Like let's mic this up differently. Let's what if you accented that or just like he's just down to try new shit. And we only recorded the drums with him on this one, and we had 29 mics on the kit. And like we had a gong set up in the middle of the room that was mic'd, so it would just like vibrate off the gong.
Oh, that's awesome.
And we had an old telephone recording, and it was fucking insane. And he's just a really solid dude, and makes you feel confident in what you're doing. And he's the fucking best. Like that's just how it is.
I think it's great to do drums with him because he's a drummer.
Okay.
And he understands it really well. And like, when we went in for this, we pretty much had the idea of exactly how we were going to play these songs anyways. Like with the World Game, there was some parts, and even still, he's like, I should have done this there with that song,
Yeah.
But with this EP, we were like, all right, we know exactly how the drums are going to go before we, hit record.
Right.
And, most of the parts were finalized, but Joe would just go up to him and say just like the littlest thing, try this there, try that there, and we would like it, maybe we wouldn't, but either way, like he just had input on how to make the song better.
Right,
He wasn't changing a structure, he was just maybe changing a little nuance that went in the rhythm, and it ended up working out, especially in like 4. I know he did it once with you there.
Yeah, he changed. I had the in the verses, quote unquote verses in that song. I was doing something different with my right hand on the hi-hat, and it just wasn't, I could do it, but it wasn't coming out the way we wanted it, and he just like came over and sat down and was like, just do this. And I was like, okay, and that's how it's fucking been ever since.
It's that perfect balance of input without being,
The dick about it.
yeah, or without being overbearing.
It's
and-
constructive.
But it's
Right.
still
Yeah,
still us.
yeah.
But it's really nice to have just that one extra voice, especially for Dylan on drums. I'm sure one extra voice to be like, hey, like try this instead, because Josh and I'll suggest things here and there, and ultimately
Right.
it's his choice on what goes on.
Right.
But just that extra voice to, without being like, how do it this way, and that's the way it's gonna be done.
Right. Gotcha. Yeah. So he did the majority of the drum production, and then it was kind of up to the both of you, I'm assuming, for guitars and.
We had done it. I actually recorded the guitars and the vocals at my house.
Okay.
Well, my parents' house. Yeah, I just went in the little room because Joe's the one that told me that the vocal booths are overrated. Because we had, I remember we were going to do the vocals, and they had like a little booth. He's like, for the World Game. Or no, it was before the World Game. It was when we were doing like
Oh.
Cardinal Sin singing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I
The
thought we were gonna
original.
go in this little booth, and he's like, no. He's like, to be honest with you, he's like, that's so overrated. He's like, all you need is a good mic and to EQ it and add the effects and stuff, and that's what's gonna get you the sound. It's not the the tightness of having it in there. So I just literally just stood in a room and yelled my head off, and then for guitars, like you can see it's still there on my cab. I got a tape off. I think that was for the leads. Just like microphone here, place mic here. But I just kind of listened and did it around there, and did that. Sent him the tracks, and he made them sound absolutely massive.
For sure. Yeah.
So-
Especially on Chaos, they sounded massive.
Yeah.
Everything sounded huge. I mean, the drum tone, the guitars. I mean, the guitars were disgusting. I mean, good lord.
Yeah, man. We're proud of the way that came out. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Going back real quick to Chaos, it really kind of was I think, sparingly used for the World Game. The idea of going with the heavier verses vocally and then going to the cleaner, the sung vocal for the chorus. What was the thought behind doing it that way, specifically for Chaos, especially with how jarring it was? Because I know the World Game kind of like blended it here and there, but with this it was a very distinct, like almost dare I say, like a metalcore kind of combo done with just yourself.
Yeah, well, it was just more to serve the song, really. I mean, it's a more melodic song.
Right.
And I was screaming in the verses, you know, and I don't know, I just felt like if I was screaming over all the melody that happened in the chorus, I just wouldn't be serving it well.
Right.
You know, it just wouldn't have fit very well if I was just yelling my head off there.
Yeah.
So I just, you know, like we've all been saying before, we just want to do whatever serves the song. And that's just kind of the way I did the vocals. The vocals were very sporadic, actually. I was on my way to work, and I had thought of that vocal melody.
Gotcha.
Because I was playing, like, the demo of it in my car, and I just kind of came to me one day, because, I don't know, I couldn't think of shit for the longest time, and then I'm just sitting there, and I'm just like, oh, that sounds good. I didn't even have words. I just knew how it was going to sound, you know. Then you just put the words to it, and
That's how it comes
yeah,
out.
the rest is history.
Gotcha.
Plus, he doesn't sound like a pussy in the chorus either. That's what a lot of metalcore bands do. They sound like fucking...
Yeah, they sound like they got their
Sound like they're
balls
whining.
fucking wrenched. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I like to do it the Trivium metalcore way. You know?
Yeah, because it's like I say metalcore, but it's not like in the traditional sense of like you got this like really ballsy, like decent sounding screamer, and then you got this guy who sounds like he just got his balls punched in by a fucking wrench. Like,
Yeah, man, it's different. Like, you know, like Howard Jones, like he's got balls.
yeah,
You know,
Howard,
like
yeah,
that
Howard
guy.
Jones is like is quintessential like metalcore vocal.
Yeah, and like I love vocalists like that. You know, I like my Halford and Dickinson and Dios and you know Howard Jones is great and Matt Heafy and stuff. So and Corey Taylor,
Corey
another one,
Taylor, for sure.
And all those guys have a set of nuts when they sing. So
Oh, for sure.
You know,
Yeah,
That's-
they actually sound like human beings.
exactly,
Not some
exactly.
fucking alien. So the World Game, I know you guys primarily used D standard and drop C sharp to kind of fit the vocals and kind of serve your voice a little more. Was there anything done differently with tunings? Because I know you and I had talked before about possibly using 7 strings for the recordings. So was there any, kind of stuff like that going on?
Well, we don't have 7 strings yet.
Okay.
I'll say yet because it's probably an element we would get to eventually. They sound very nice.
Right.
And but no, we used D standard for 4 of them, and we used C sharp for 1 of them. So
Okay.
it's basically the tunings we're sticking in, or at least the tuning of the strings. But it's the damnedest thing, and we always end up doing it. We write 5 songs in 5 different keys. We always fucking do it. I don't know how we do it, but we do. And I think it's good because you listen to 4 songs in a row and they're all in D standard. They're just all
like all in D minor.
Yeah, they're all just in like root note position. You're just like, it can get exhausting.
For sure, yeah.
So we like to make it so that way when you listen front to back, you're getting something different with all the songs, whether it's tuning or it's pace or whatever.
Gotcha. Okay. Any points really going through the process of especially at home with recording the guitars and the bass and the vocals there? Was there any point where it was just like it just pissed you off or frustrated you? Because I can get like that sometimes where I'll be sitting here and the part's just not coming out the way I want it, or the vocal take isn't the way it should have been, and it was like your 15th try, it was like pissing you off. Anything like that going through it?
Yeah. well, especially during solos, me and Alex are very tedious, and we were just sitting there and I don't know. There was a few. Some of them we would do it in a few takes, and other ones it was just fucking 25 times. We were just this little note, this little note, this little note.
And then I think did you go back and re-record all of your lead parts, or?
For the one song, yeah.
Yeah.
It was I don't know, the mic was placed different or something. I could just tell something was different. I soloed it. It sounded very fuzzy, and I'm like, well, I just got to go back and do it again.
Yeah. One of those things that if it's not perfect,
Right.
That's kind of the idea that we had on this, I think, and that's why maybe the songs took a little bit longer. Was if it's not going to be perfect, why are we going to put it on at all?
Right.
That kind of thing.
And there was times when I would be there while they were recording solos and stuff, and they're very fucking particular about the things they do, and that's not in a way where it's like, oh, like, come on, like, it's not a bad thing. It's the reason it comes out sounding the way it does. They want what they want, and they're gonna fucking get it at all costs, and that's what makes it rad.
Yep. Yeah, so many times I'd sit there and I'd do something, I'd be like, nope, just over and over again. I'm just like playing, hitting the space bar, playing, you know. Even just like from the first note, sometimes, you know.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Yeah.
you're just like, no,
Sometimes
fuck
you
that
just
up.
feel like it's gonna be a bad take. Like, nope.
It was tougher for some songs because I quad tracked like the rhythms, and like a
Oh,
song
okay.
like some of it with like a lot of alternate picking
Uh-huh.
could get a little messy sometimes,
Oh, for
and you
sure.
just go over it and over and over it. It was tough. We did a lot of things. We would like turn off the click, or we would only have click track, or like
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
we were
right.
doing all these.
Yeah, was it
Was
the Chaos Theory
yeah.
solo? I played to no music at all,
you just played it the click.
just to the click.
Yep.
Really? Holy
Yeah.
crap.
Yeah, it was the best way we could line it up, and it sounds great.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, chaos. I mean, I've said it in my reaction, and I will say it again. For the love of God, it was Dragon Force, Iron Maiden, and Testament all fucking thrown together in one mixing pot. And I don't know. It was just that song in particular, because I was sitting there playing it next to stuff from the World Game, and it was just like, for me, I don't know why, it just like took down the World Game a whole level. Like, what the
Yeah.
fuck is going on here? It's up here now.
That's the goal.
Yeah. I mean, especially because like there wasn't a whole lot of like melodic kind of sections on the World Game. I mean, you had like Within the Darkness was fairly melodic in terms of compared to the other stuff, because it had that kind of like almost like kind of a pirate metal kind of thing going on there. Which I remember we had talked about in the other interview, and that stuff was very sparing on the album. It was melodic, you know, no less. Don't get me wrong, but this kind of feels like, you know, you've taken that and found a pedal to just make it better, and just, you know, send it over into left field where no one really expected it.
Yeah, I find that a lot of these songs, not only at points are they more melodic, but they're definitely heavier. It's quite a bit heavier than the World Game too. Like some of the heavy songs, you'll just be like, Jesus, and then some of the melodic ones, like the Chaos Theory,
Yeah, for
is
sure.
we try to take it up a step just with everything.
For sure. Oh, for sure.
And when we started writing, I remember saying that I wanted to take people's attention hostage, and I think we've done that pretty well on this one.
That's right. Yeah, for sure. But especially with, I mean, that second, you know, Dragon Force tapping solo. I mean, good lord, I was not prepared for that. I was expecting it to either slow down and go really slow, or it was going to do what it did and kick up into overdrive with something completely different. And that solo was just completely unexpected from what I had known for what you guys had done. And, you know, going into that song, I was like, I had been like seeing all the teasers and shit on Instagram and like losing my fucking mind waiting for the song. I almost messaged you on Monday like, dude, can you just like send me an early link so I can just get this like listen to? I'm like, I was nervous going into it. I'm like, man, I really don't want to like have hyped myself up and be disappointed.
Yeah, what if it's
Yeah.
Right,
What if it
what
sucks?
if this wasn't what I was expecting? And
Oh, this blows.
Right. But yeah, no, I was not disappointed at all. That song, and it really just made me just eager to hear the rest of this, because, I mean, from the sound of things, I mean, especially if that's a guitar tone you guys are running through the rest of it, good lord, I'm not ready. My soul is not ready, and my guitars are going to explode behind me listening to the rest of it. Shit. I mean, that was, I think, arguably probably some of the like, especially for a local kind of sound, that's probably some of the heaviest tones I've ever heard, and especially for some of the people I've played with and like listened to around here. I mean, that's just, they're over here in the trash bin over here somewhere fucking hiding, and we're over here, and
Our goal is to blow the doors off this thing. You know, we're not down for half-assed and shit. We're down to give you what we got.
for sure,
The
yeah.
whole ass.
The whole ass.
If we're going to eat ass, we're going to eat the whole ass.
Exactly.
Fuck that half-ass shit. Oh man, damn! Am I already out of questions? Fuck. I thought I came up with more. Where the hell? Oh, okay. I guess I ran out. All right, so I guess I'm out of things to say. Is there any final thoughts or teasers possibly you want to give for anything coming up? Any new songs coming out here in a few weeks?
No teasers. This is the one you get until
We're
June
gonna
26th.
We're gonna let it marinate.
Yeah, June 26th. That's the day.
All right,
We're giving it plenty of time so
for sure.
people can realize that something's coming out in 2 months.
Yeah, and May 2nd is we're doing a live stream show at Photo City.
Okay.
It'll be probably around an hour set, so that should be fun. It'll be weird playing to no crowd.
All right.
But,
for sure.
but
I can imagine.
I'm definitely gonna throw some drumsticks to the invisible audience.
Yeah, we've got a bit of banter worked out for that.
Just go up there, just like, what the fuck's going on? Silence.
And just slap people up in the crowd. And you're not there.
Just hitting your own hand.
Yeah.
Like, hey, how are you? What's going on? Oh yeah, I can imagine. I mean, especially right now with all this quarantine shit. I mean, it's some of the strangest shit I've seen probably ever. I mean,
Yeah.
there's been points where, I mean, seeing the local scene, especially, like, playing to a very minimal crowd. I mean, I had to help a buddy of mine a while back over at the Smoking Eagle.
Mm-hmm.
His guitar player, his car broke down in Danville. He couldn't make it to the show that night, so he sent me songs at like 3 a.m. While I'm at work, and I just had to sit there and try and learn them by ear, and then go home and try and learn them before I went to bed. And I covered like half the set that night for them, just so they could at least have something.
That's cool.
And I mean, it was weird because there's only, I think, like 30 or 40 people that were there for him, but it was like, I mean, just that few people compared to, certain venues I know around here can, house a few hundred.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can only imagine, playing to no crowd is going to be, because that's what you feed from is really, I mean, that was what was feeding me that time, was feeding, because I hadn't played in a couple of years for a crowd, so, playing for 30, 40 people was just, massive for me. And,
Mm-hmm.
We're definitely no strangers to playing to nobody in the crowd.
Yeah.
No,
We've been there.
Yeah,
As a local metal band, that'll happen to you from time to time.
yeah. You'll get some shows like that one in Buffalo.
Oh my god.
What was that guy's name?
Which guy?
The guitar player that played to the backing tracks. The little Asian guy from
Oh my
California.
god. Oh.
He had a funny name. It was like a play on like Los Angeles or something.
Yeah, I don't know, but he was like touring and
Yeah.
like just playing by himself to a backing track, and he was just like
Yeah,
this.
he hit us up like a week before or something, or it was very shortly after, and we went, and there was like 3 people by the time we played.
Yeah, when we went out, we closed out the show, and it was like my brother and 3 people at the bar with their backs to us, and it was rad.
And we've learned that like, playing last for like a touring band is like a big deal, but playing last at a local show
On a
is-
Monday.
On a Monday.
On a Monday, yeah, playing last at a local show in like Buffalo is not what you want to be doing.
Oh, for sure.
You want to be playing like first, second, maybe third, depending on how late the show starts.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's supposed to start at 6, it's going to start at 7:30.
Right.
Yeah, dude, I had a great time that show though. That was awesome.
Honestly, that guy's riffs were pretty sick. It was just like the backing track. It was like,
It was just this tiny Asian dude on stage just like thrashing out,
Got
and
a
I was like,
flying
"This
V.
is yeah."
Yeah.
It was almost as big as
guitar
him.
was as big as it was. Yep.
It was sick.
That's amazing.
I thought he had a band, but it was just him and a computer. So, interesting.
Yeah, I know the who was it, John Dretto, I think.
Oh yeah, John Dretto.
yeah.
Because I think I remember you and I talked about him once or twice, and then
Mhm.
I follow him on Instagram, and that's kind of what he and his little thing are doing with like him, another guy, I think maybe 2, and then a computer for the most part.
Well, he's got a band. He played it with a band at Warrior Fest a couple years ago. We played a show
Okay.
with him,
Okay.
and he had a band. I think he played right before us.
Yeah.
And, I mean, John's quite the guitar player.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
He was in like a Hawaiian shirt, smiling a bunch, but he's
Yeah,
just
smiling.
shredding. Yeah, he's just shredding, man. I'm like,
he
dude,
seriously,
this-
he really just seems to just enjoy it.
Perfectly white teeth.
Yeah, he's great. He's great, and he was one of the least egotistical people I met at school also because we went to college with him, and
Okay.
I remember talking. Well, yeah, you remember he was in the ensemble.
Oh, was he really? Was he in there?
Yeah, oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah, he was.
Okay. I must not remember him.
Well, I remember because he had a different color PRS every day.
Oh,
yeah, literally.
That's right.
And I
That's
was
right.
just
I
like,
remember
dude,
him.
I'm like, where are you getting these? And he would just play, and it was just like butter.
Yeah.
And you're just like,
Dude,
oh my
seriously.
god, like who is this guy, man?
Right.
And so I went up to him. I'm like, dude, you are awesome,
monster,
Like
right.
I'm just saying, you are a really good guitar. And he's
Seriously.
like, you know, he was really nice. And
Right.
I'm like, how do you have different color PRSs? He's like, I'm endorsed. I'm like, you're endorsed by PRS. You're going to MCC. It's like, oh my god.
Right, like endorsed by like one of the, like arguably one of the biggest companies still in the world for guitars. And it's like,
No, that-
oh, I'm endorsed.
that dude's
Why
a
are you doing this
prodigy.
shit school? What the fuck?
He's a prodigy, and I had a conversation with him at the Warrior Fest. Nice guy,
Yeah.
very cool.
No
He's
kidding.
plays amazing.
Yeah, no, I remember him now. Yeah, because I remember the guy kept bringing in PRS, and I remember at that point I was like drooling over PRS, and I mean, you know, now I have one.
Yeah.
Just like drooling over this thing. It's just like watching him bring these in. It's like, if only he wasn't right-handed.
I know.
Fucking my left-handed fucking curse, but it was just like seeing him bring him in every day. I mean, you know, then I remember there was that one point, you know, with everybody where everyone like was using a fucking Les Paul,
Yeah.
and then I think it slowly kind of converted over to like blending like Les Pauls and Stratocasters and all this weird like fucking combos and shit that was just like, okay, what are we doing with ourselves?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
him with that PRS, man, I mean, he could fucking match any of us. He could bring it in. Okay, coil down, single coil. All right, here we go. Fucking
Yeah.
he was nuts. I remember that.
Yeah,
Kid.
his playing always blew me away.
Yeah, he was. I mean, I
awesome.
remember him in the that full thing we did on Tuesdays in the afternoon. That was, I mean, he was a monster, and he still is. He's only gotten better with time. I mean,
Oh yeah.
it's ridiculous. I mean, for the love of God, I mean, I'm still barely better than I was 4 years ago, and he's over here like doing whatever the hell he's doing now. So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's nuts, but that's what happens when random people go to college together.
PRS endorsers.
PRS endorsers go to a cheap fucking community college. This is what happens. Yeah. But yeah, okay. So Chaos Theory is EP. Chaos Theory is the song that's out. Invictra, I have Alex, Josh, and Dylan. I almost forgot your name.
Yeah, that's going whatever.
Like, wait, hold
I
on.
answer to anything.
I'm sorry, I've been called Marcus before, so I like, Marcus, who the fuck? Who are you talking? Me? I'm not Marcus. Marcus is over there, and there's a size difference. I'm skinny. He's not. You idiot. What are you doing? Fucking yeah. That's anyway. So yeah, I have Invictra here. June 26th. Go get this fucking thing. I'll probably be doing a full video of reactions to the other 4 that are around. So keep an eye for that. Yeah. In any case, new stuff is up. Chaos Theory reaction is up. It should be. If it's not, I'm gonna be fucking screaming at YouTube to unblock it, because that's what they like to fucking do to me.
We'll have our record label go after you.
Our people will talk to your people.
Universal
Yeah.
UMG will go after me. It's okay. All right. Besides that, thank you guys for allowing me to come over here to the jam space and do this.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us, man.
Anyway, I hope you guys listening are having fun. You know what? I might be able to put this on Spotify.
Fucking get it
Yeah.
done.
Fucking A. I just forgot. I totally remembered I have DistroKid.
There we
Pay for
go.
DistroKid. Do not use it. Anyway, I'm gonna get out of here. Y'all be safe and rock on, motherfuckers.
Peace.